Hi, I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you a chocolate cookie that is perfect for gift giving for the holidays. And they're going to be peppermint flavored a little bit, but you could do whatever flavoring that you like if you don't like peppermint. But really minimal ingredients for these cookies. And they are chocolate cookies. I don't know if I said that or not. But first thing I'm going to do is mix my dry ingredients. And I already have my oven preheated to 350. I have 2 parchment lined cookie sheets here ready to go. And then this is a little 1-inch cookie scoop. You could do a bigger scoop size if you wanted a bigger cookie, but I like the smaller one. You get more cookies out of it and they're bite size. So you can eat more, but you could make them bigger. In this bowl, I have 2 cups of my gluten-free flour and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there, and 2/3 cup of cocoa powder. You could sift if you want to, but the whisk is fine. And always everything at room temperature. And once you've got your dry ingredients mixed together, just set those aside. You could do this in a stand mixer or with a hand mixer, but the whisk is fine for me. I have 1 cup of butter, 2 sticks that need to be a little bit softer. You don't want the butter melted, but you want it soft enough that we can whisk it up with our honey. So I have 3/4 of a cup of honey. And I'm just going to start mixing up my butter and my honey. Get all that butter out of your whisk. So to my honey and butter mixture, I'm going to add 2 eggs and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And just mix this till it's really combined. And if it looks a little bit chunky and separated, that's just fine. It will all come together when we add in the dry ingredients. And I'm just going to go all in one. And just mix this all together till it's really combined. I'm going to switch to my spatula. And even this part looks like it will never come together, but it does. Stick with it. Scraping the sides and the bottom as you go. If you notice that your dough is too soft, you can stick it in the fridge. And you could roll these into little balls if you want to, but this is fine. Once you've got your first tray ready to go in the oven, that's going to go in the oven for about 5 minutes. Then we'll take it out and make our little indentation. I just have a little 1/4 teaspoon here, but it's a nice little round size. And then I also have a glass. I'm going to show you 2 different kinds of how I like to make these cookies. And while that first tray is in the oven, I'm going to get my second tray ready. If you have more than 2 cookie sheets, just get the rest of them ready. So after 5 minutes of baking, you'll notice they look not done, which they're not. But just take your little scooper or even your thumb, whatever you want to use, and make a little indentation. And you'd think it would stick, but it doesn't. So back into the oven for another 4 minutes. You want your cookies to be just set. You don't want to overbake them. Even though they might not look all the way done, they're done. So just transfer these over to your cooling rack. And before I do that, I'm going to do 2 at a time for this next one. And you can see how little they are, but perfect little bite-sized cookies. And I kind of like that they're a little raggedy around the edges. It makes them look homemade. Because they are homemade. And then for this next tray, I'm just going to use a glass and just flatten them out. Very carefully so they don't stick. You could dip this in sugar if you wanted to, if you're using sugar. And even if they look like they're going to stick just a little bit, they come right off of the glass. So back into the oven for another 4 minutes. And it seems like a lot of extra work to take them in and out of the oven, but they really go quickly. So once you have all of your cookies baked and they're cooled off, you want them to be cooled off when we add in the filling. And in this bowl, I have 3/4 of a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You could use milk chocolate or white chocolate, dark chocolate, or no chocolate. You can really fill these cookies with anything that you want. You could fill them up with caramel or jam, really whatever filling you like that goes well with chocolate. But today we're just doing chocolate, and I have about 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract. That's all that you need. And then 1/4 cup of butter. So first thing we're going to do is melt these chocolate chips in the microwave till they're mostly melted. And I just go a little bit at a time, see where I'm at. We want the butter to be melted in the chocolate too, but we don't want to add it in just yet. And then I also have a pastry bag here. You can get the reusable ones, or this is just a disposable one. Or if you don't have this, you can just use a plastic bag. Once you notice these are starting to melt just a little bit, just give it a good stir. Not ready yet, but getting there. You could do this over a double boiler if you don't have a microwave. Once your chocolate is looking like this, where it's getting melted, but it's still pretty chunky, I'm going to add in my butter now. Back in the microwave for just a few more seconds. Make sure to get the sides and the bottom. And you can still see there's a little bit of butter pieces, but I'm just going to keep stirring until all of that butter is melted. And you see it really doesn't take very long at all. And once your chocolate is nice and smooth, add in your 1/2 teaspoon of peppermint extract. And I'm just gonna keep stirring it. That will help it cool off. But because we added the butter in there, it's not gonna harden up super fast. And you could use coconut oil in place of the butter if you wanted to. And same glass that I was pressing my cookies with. It just works easier if you have something to put your piping bag in. You could just hold it, but this way you can pour into it. And so I'm just gonna pour it's still a little bit warm, but I'm gonna pour my chocolate into my piping bag. So unfold your bag and just make sure it's all kind of pushed down into there. And then you want to make sure to gather it at the top and twist it really good. If you don't twist it firm enough, when you start squeezing, it will come out this end. So you want to really make sure to have it twisted tight. And then you just hold it between your thumb and your knuckle there, hand, whatever you call that part of your hand. With the disposable bags, you do need to snip the end off. So make sure you don't lose your twist. Make sure when you're snipping off your end, you're not squeezing, because then all of your filling will come squishing out. And I don't have a super big hole, but that's okay because it's still pretty liquidy. So bring over your cookies and then just start filling them up. And you want them to come up to the top so they're a little bit domed, but not spilling over. And if you don't think you have enough of your filling, you can always make more. So I'll come back to that tray later, but I just wanted to show you what I do with the flat ones. And you just put a little bit in the center, and you see that it's not really running anywhere. I'll do 2 here to show you. So just take another equal size cookie and just press them together. You'll see it's not a lot of filling in the middle. And with this filling, you'll see it's not really dripping out. But what I do, if you need to put it down, is I fold over my twisted end and just stick it in a glass. The bottom will stop it from coming out, and you'll maintain your twist up here. I'm just going to sandwich the rest of these cookies before my filling isn't as spreadable as I want it to be. And you could always use white chocolate, maybe tinted green with some food coloring to give the indication that it is mint. If you have a fancy star tip or something like that, you could use that to make it a prettier design with your chocolate. But I kind of like the little swirl. And that was just enough filling. It's the perfect amount. And I actually even think I have a little bit extra. I'm going to very carefully move it down to the bottom and then just retwist and see if there's any that maybe need a little bit more. So you want your filling to set up just a little bit. If you're trying to package them into anything, they will stick to each other or possibly spill out your filling. But I'm going to try this one right here. That is a super chocolatey cookie. The cookie part almost has a little bit of a brownie-like texture to it. And then of course the filling, they really go great together. And not super overpowering with the peppermint flavor either. Just that half a teaspoon of peppermint is just enough to give it just a hint of peppermint. But a pretty good little festive cookie. You could get some candy canes and crush those up and sprinkle those on top while your filling is still soft. Give it a little festive look. And you don't have to make little sandwich cookies, but I think it's kind of fun. And you could drizzle or even get some different kind of topping. Make those look festive too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.